is Cory King here at Keller Williams, Knoxville. Run this here with my business partner, Justin Myers. We put this together because we wanted to bring this to our area, and we really felt there was a good need to connect investors in our market who all want to grow better. And so we wanted to put this together as a way to make that happen. So what we're looking to do is, like I said, just establish and create a really collaborative community around it. You certainly be able to connect with us here every month at our group meeting. We'll take over to Justin. Justin, introduce yourself a little bit.
Yeah, my name is Justin Myers. I'm Director of Sales for Heartstrong Home Group, and I have off camera anyways, whatever. I started in real estate in 2005 as a mortgage broker. So I've seen a lot, done about everything you can do in real estate. Been around a lot of this, invest myself. And so our team, we do some commercial, we build some houses. We've got an investment division centered around grid. We've been in this market for about 13 years. And then I run Keller Williams Young Professionals. There is some flyers out there. We've got a nonprofit, Pints for Purpose. Come on out every month. We're at a different brewery, raising money for a different cause. All the funds go directly to that cause. So I think the goal this year is to raise $60,000. So last month we raised about $2,500 for Love Kitchen. Yeah, to go towards their mission. This one's going to be Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. So anybody's welcome. Come on out and network with us. Yeah. Why we run this group? We run this group because you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, certainly. Well, you can elaborate a little bit because I just kind of jumped into it for a minute. Sure.
I think that we run this group because we know there's a lot of investor education out there that's self-interested. It's based around selling. This one at the door?
No, there's one. Try to come in that door, but these things walking around.
Cool. It's based around, selling courses in the back of the room, right? Here's some secret. Here's the way to get there. We know, like, we want to work with educated investors. There's more than enough to go around, and we can create an environment where deals get done in this room. Everybody benefits, right? When you get to work in a circle of trust. That's how deals get done. That's what's been successful with us. So Bronco's here. I've known Bronco a long time. You've got people where you've got that circle of trust where he knows him and we can all do business together. That's the kind of environment we want to create around some education so that y'all can make some informed decisions. Yeah.
Let's kind of go around the room a little bit. Everybody kind of take an opportunity to introduce yourself. Right. It's a good chance just to, if you have something, you've got a deal, you want to share it. Awesome. We're just going to go around the room here. I can always work like left to right. So it's Robert Baker.
I'm a local agent here in the Farragut office. Just really want to learn from the best. So that's why I started coming to Grid.
You're too kind. You're too kind.
You sure you're in the right place?
Yes, you are. My name is Bronco. I have been in real estate since 2005. I have been there, done it, seen it, fixed and flipped, hammered nails, moved into my first house, fixed it, sold it within a couple months, and graduated up to building spec homes here in the local area down in Telco Village. I live in Telco Village. I started building houses by myself, and then Jamie Smith, his agent, or I don't know what leader of
Team leader.
Wolf Pack. He and I partnered together. We built probably 15 houses or so at Telco Village, and he's taken it to a whole different level. And I've kind of just I backed off that, and now what I do, the value that I will bring to this group is I spent 10 years in the Green Berets and made a lot of money. I got out of that and made a lot of money at Microsoft, working for Department of Defense, selling to Department of Defense. And when the money started stacking up in the bank account, I was like, what am I supposed to do? And that's when I got into real estate in 2005 and just haven't stopped. So what I've done now is I've gotten older, and COVID kind of freaked me out a little bit. So I tried to reinvent myself. And what I did was I found, I put myself in the money. So what I can do for you or this group is I can bring 100% financing. So I bring 100% of the purchase price, 100% of the rehab costs, and 100% of your closing costs. So you bring no money to the deal. So it helps new investors get into deals. You bring the deal, we'll put the money up. I've got about, the fund that now I'm an investor in that fund. That's what gives me that ability, that flexibility to do that. As I'm an investor, my name has to be on the paper, which is fine. It's your deal, all that other good stuff, but I will bring the money to the table and I will help you. So if you're new, I'll help you every step of the way, hold your hand, answer any questions that you got to make sure that you are profitable. I think what you said early on was really significant in that most of the RIAs and most of the other organizations that you get involved with are completely self-serving. So whatever they bring to the table, it's one.
Embarrassed around this. My personal residence that my wife and I renovated was motivated purely by, I think primarily just out of embarrassment of why they did not want to list the home. I'd met them, they knew that I'd done some renovations and we were kind of always in the hunt. And they called me late, like one Tuesday night and said, hey, we bought this other house, but we don't really want to put this one on the market. Because it was pretty rough, and it certainly was. And it was in a great neighborhood, and with good schools, and I knew there was a good upside for it. So my wife and I jumped all in on that.
Yeah, the one I'm just working on, he knew it wouldn't appraise, put it on the market,
Sure.
and he didn't want to deal with it. So
Being able just to take a,
yeah. Another one on the circumstances, HOA liens and violations.
Mhm. Yeah,
And we're a big HOA area.
so everything you're throwing out is just manifestations, right, of a circumstance. The big category that we're talking about, people that either can't afford the property, right, or some circumstances drive them, they've got to sell, they've got to move, right, or they're compelled to sell through a divorce or family situation, right? Family is decreasing in size, increasing in size, jobs change, like all of those are the underlying circumstances where you're identifying what the pain point is. And then surrounding the problem, because the problem is not really the house. The house is a vehicle to identify that, right? And I want to wrap everything I talk in that thing. Like any sort of discovery is like, hey, how do I define what's going on? Frame it in terms for there. So, hey, it sounds like you really need to be down in Florida to take care of your sister. She's going through that. You need to be there, by June 1st.
Yesterday.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, how are we going to get you there by June 1st? If I'm framing everything around then, we can avoid getting bogged down in some of the other things.
One of the things that I work at, that I use that works very, very well with that is in a perfect world, what does your vision look like?
mhm,
In a perfect world, just take everything off the table. What is it that you need to happen in a perfect world? Well, I need this, and this.
Yep.
And if you hit those high points, the little things, you don't need to waste your time on.
Yeah.
Because you're solving their issues as they've expressed them.
mhm.
In a perfect world, it works, it really works.
Oh, that one. I say wave the magic wand. I could
Right.
wave the magic wand. Perfect scenario for you. How does this play out?
How does it look?
Yep.
Go back a slide.
Sure.
I love it.
Sure.
This is a great place. I think we're gonna zoom through some of these, but I think this is probably a good place to, anybody got any questions? Anybody got any before we're gonna roll into how do we do once we, because identifying it is probably one of the most important.
Finding them.
Sweet.
How do you find those distressed people or
I can help you.
distressed conditions?
That's a great one. There's a whole other one about that, but I think we can hit a couple high points, right?
Yeah.
So we've already talked about this, HOA liens, like how are you gonna?
I don't know if you're gonna get this or I'm jumping the gun,
We'll
but
see.
my question is, how do you approach them without embarrassing them? Because that's one of the emotional triggers is they're clearly in a situation where they're not keeping up. And how do you approach that person without putting your foot in your mouth, just, the minute you say, I want to buy your house?
I suck on their emotions.
Coming, I think it's just coming, like seeking to understand the situation, right? Trying to get on the level with somebody. We go into any of these properties or houses with sort of an unbiased, piece. And all the time people say, oh, like you can't come over right now. We got to clean the place or things like that. We're just not ready for you to come by, things like that. It's like, hey, look, like a couple weeks ago, I legit fell through like a floor walking through a house like downtown, right? Things, yeah. As long as that doesn't happen, I think we're gonna be like, all right. Or hey, I'm in tons of houses every week, so I see all kinds of different properties, and really you're just coming in with a totally unbiased opinion of things, right? And just trying to always come from care, come from a solution-based situation.
Sure. I'd say it's tone of voice.
Yep.
So never split the difference. Go get
Great
that book. If
book.
you don't have that book, get that book, read it 3 times.
Never
It's
split the difference.
never split
by
the
Chris
Chris
Voss.
Voss.
He's an FBI hostage negotiator, he's an international FBI hostage negotiator, right? And it's got a cheat sheet down to do there. The audiobook is pretty good. Ironically, the audiobook's very good as well because the guy nails some of the voices. And I'd watch a YouTube video of Chris Voss because the audiobook guy's got that narrator
Yeah.
voice, and Chris does more of a normal kind of New York
Never split the
accent.
difference.
Never split the difference. but
Great book.
It's that tone of voice. He calls it the late night DJ
Late
tone
night
of voice,
DJ
right?
voice.
Calming,
Everything's
soothing.
gonna be fine.
Everything is gonna be
All
just
right.
fine. And then it's storytelling, right? So there's a script called Feel, Felt, Found. Hey, you're probably feeling a little overwhelmed right now, you know, and we work with people just like yourself all the time that felt that way, that felt like they didn't have any options, right? They didn't want someone to come out, right? And they were kind of just trapped where they didn't want someone to see them. And so they were a little more prepared to have that conversation, yet they couldn't get out of the situation they were in. And what they found was by working with us, we were able to provide a solution for them, a quick cash offer that was able to get them where they wanted to go and solve the problem that they had.
Do you
Right.
offer solutions outside of cash? I mean, what if
Yes.
like, what are some examples of solutions that are not cash, that they're really seeking or needing?
Cash, I mean, seller, I'd say
Tell
seller.
them about that lady that was living in the house with no
Oh, man.
utilities, right?
Yeah, I mean, for her, it was definitely imperative to have a pretty quick cash offer that could get her out of where she was. That was a house, sold in Maryville. Yeah, she had electric, but no water, no heat.
Jenny Snodgrass is trying to get on. She on there?
Yep.
Okay.
Cool. Thank you. So, yeah, I mean, for her, it was definitely a matter of getting moved out,
Yeah, she's actually muted.
getting out quickly. Because I mean, she had nothing, like no running plumbing, no heat, you know, it was interesting for sure. But seller financing is another option. I mean, I kind of just had a conversation with a guy late last week, went and looked at a couple of places this weekend. But for him, it was like, hey, I could sell some of these, but this I would probably be more inclined to take kind of I would do an owner financing on these because it was, you know, less of a tax hit overall for him in that. Or subject to is an option.
What,
So she was asking, you're talking about alternatives, like in terms of the financing thing. She was asking like, what are motivators besides money? Right?
Sure.
It's a slightly different question. So motivators besides money would be just handling the logistics of getting them out. People are overwhelmed by the moving process.
right, like, do you hire movers for people? Do you have junk be thrown out there? I mean, are there other?
Yes.
Yeah.
Other things
Yes.
to do?
I have.
How would you
Yeah.
want to be, here's what I think about is how do I want to be treated in any situation? How would I want to be treated? And the worst the situation is, let's say I caused all this and I'm the jerk and I'm not being very friendly. Well, then I certainly would want to be treated with some grace and some kindness and some love. Right? I need it even more so then. So I try to do this as compassionately as possible, right? And what you'll find is we're doing a flip right now. They took less money. It's someone that we knew. Remember Angie? That used to work for, yeah, she asked us to buy her house cash and she's so happy living in Myrtle Beach. Posting pictures of the sunset every single day
Good for her.
because she just wanted to get out. And we helped her with the other process there.
I've had two, to answer your question, I've had two specific deals with hoarders.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And they were and they open up because they're in pre-foreclosure and the bank's just on them, right? I mean, the bank they're going to lose their house and they got all this stuff in their house. And it means every single box means something. And these people are almost crying as how the bank opens the house and got all these people drive up in the driveways in these slick Mercedes Benz and these $50,000, $70,000 cars. And the guys in suits and ties are running through and calculating and figuring everything out. And these people are like huddled in a corner, happened to me twice, almost crying. And these people with bankers are just, you know, looking at it. And I'll go over and I'll talk to them and I'll say, what do you really need to happen? And there's a price on the house.
Yep.
You know, and they're trying to, I said, you know, what do you need to get out? Is this what you need? And they're like, no, we don't need that much. So, and I said, well, what's your problem? I said, there's no way we can move all this stuff.
Hmm.
Both of them. There's no way I can get out of here in 3 weeks and move all this stuff. And I'm talking about houses where you can't even get into rooms, just
Right.
boxes,
Yeah.
you know? And I'll say, well, listen, if I come in here, how much do you actually need to move? And it's less than what the bank is
Mhm.
asking, right? Because there was some net profits in there, or some equity. I said, well, we need this much, and I'd offer them like $2,000 more than what they were asking, it was left. And I say, here, if I give you this amount, and I tell you that you do not have, you take whatever you want, and you leave, to answer your question, you leave all this crap here, whatever you don't want, leave it. And you just watch the color come back in their face, and they're like, really?
Yep.
I could just leave this behind? I'm like, no, you want to take whatever you want, take your photo albums, whatever you want, take it, leave whatever you want. I closed those deals right then and there with those people in their living rooms, both times. While other guys are running around with his Mercedes Benzes, because that's what they needed. Just leave it behind.
It's so overwhelming.
Yeah, I mean, that was a big solution for sure down in Maryville, was kind of houses just that disrepair, lots of stuff, things like that. Really what she needed to take could fill two small boxes.
Like auctions.
For her particularly, that was actually kind of, that came through me as a referral, of just like, hey, can you help out, my sister kind of thing, like, okay, yeah, we can get her taken care of.
But yours probably was auction.
They were gonna go back to the bank,
So
so we just paid off the loan.
foreclosure.
Yeah,
Did
And
you
they
find
just-
it because?
they just left their stuff there, and we just backed up the trailers and paid guys to come
Yep.
empty the house.
I worked on a team that sold over 3,000 foreclosed homes down in Tampa. Tampa was the third hardest hit market in the country in terms of equity loss. By 2011, 90% of the, I wasn't there in 2011, 2015, 90% of the market in Tampa on that team was foreclosures. 90% of the whole MLS was foreclosures. So seeing this, did this, some of the things I'm telling you, this is from working with Walter Delgado and him just keeping it like very, very simple, right? Hey, what do you have to do? Can I pay someone? Can I work with the tenant? Can I give them free rent, right? What do I have to do to solve this problem, make it easy and not focus so much on squeezing in your last penny? Like sometimes it's easier to work with someone, right? Hey, don't worry about this. Can we get you to a new place instead of going through the eviction process with the tenant? Whatever that is. So I think, yeah, emotion's a driver, circumstances a driver. Let's talk about like, what do we do once we find people, right?
Sure,
Yeah, what's
yeah,
the next slide?
and going into, these are definitely just circumstances, where they need to move it, get it out of their life. So even using some terminology, that's good in there. It's just what we refer to as, letting it go. You can be free. Those are all kind of key words that really kind of will end up putting somebody at ease if they're really in that distress. It kind of gives them that peace of mind. Like, let it go,
Depression,
put it
stress.
behind you, right? Let the stress go. So yeah, phone rings, kind of now what? This is where, tonality is going to be king, because a lot of communication is via body language, and we don't have that in our repertoire right now. So tonality is going to be hugely important when you're answering the phone. We could probably go into different tactics there to like what we call like mirroring and matching. So how someone answers the phone is kind of your same greeting in return, just to get on that same level with them, right?
Sure.
Is kind of my initial takeaway when going into it. And then really quickly, we just want to make sure we determine motivation on it all around. So asking some open-ended clarifying questions. Certainly, how did you hear about us? Would be the first thing, because I'd want to know where that came from. If I have different pieces of marketing out there, certainly would like to know. I clicked it online or responded to a mailer, things like that. Those are going to be pieces into there.
Yeah.
I'd like to go into a little bit, just kind of back and forth, or some questions around that selling piece. Instead of asking like, why are you selling? It's what brings this conversation, or we'll do some
back
clarifying
To
questions
the
around
slide
that.
right before we started this.
Sure,
No, let's go back to the red one.
sure. Emotion.
Nope, right before this. Boom. So this is where we're talking about identifying motivation. There's gonna be two categories, right? The seller that's motivated by circumstance needs the house sold. The seller that's motivated by emotion needs the house out of their life. Does that make sense? Like the two tracks you're gonna go down. So it's gonna be determining which of those, first category is which of that is. Is it an emotional seller or is it a circumstantial seller, right? Because my circumstantial seller, I want to get pragmatic with that person.
That's the business.
Yep, right. And I still want to be friendly. I still want to be warm. I want to identify why that circumstance is, like what's driving them, empathize. For my emotional sellers, can be a very different process, right? They're going to need to feel heard. validated and understood, they're gonna need to know what they're going through is totally normal, right? If you were in their shoes, you probably feel the same way that they feel, even if you were a hoarder or something, right? If you let yourself get into that circumstance, you know, I just realized I probably would have the same difficulty getting myself out of these holes if I got into the same holes, right?
You are not alone. This is not as uncommon as you
Yeah.
think.
So I think that's, yeah, let's go back to, I think that's
We've
just,
been
that'll
through
help.
this before.
Yep, let's jump on the list here, man.
Yeah.
And so, is the house on the market, right?
Because you will get those calls, people that will, you know, if the house might be listed, might be on the MLS or something like that.
Maybe they
And
got it with a discount broker.
yeah,
Some agent called them up, right? Who's maybe not amazing and hasn't marketed it correctly. Or they don't have enough room to pay them correctly, so they've taken some deal where someone offers to do it for almost nothing and then really doesn't market their home. Doesn't have the resources to market the home, so it's not sold. Hey, have you had any offers? Right, you're trying to figure out, is the property available? Is it tied up? Some of these people will sign contracts with multiple people, so you want to ask.
yeah,
We've seen this where you find out like there's some wholesaler that got a contract on.
yeah. And another one, there'll be multiple wholesalers that
Was
will
the deal
have
that we just
contracts. I
saw?
think we had
We just
one,
saw one,
man.
there was no time. Did you see that contract?
Yeah, it was
Look
like
at that.
there was no, it never ended. It was just a
There was no
contract that
dates.
just like
There was no dates on
dates.
this contract.
A wholesaling contract?
Yeah, it's not
Yeah,
a valid,
bad.
it's like an obligate wholesaler.
Yeah.
I guess,
for real.
it's not, without a date, it's not a valid contract, but it was a mess. It was like, yeah.
It was bad. Some clarifying questions certainly around the property. You probably want to know just, hey, what are some recent, initially for me, it's all the mechanicals, roof, HVAC, plumbing. When is this? And you have any issues here? When were these last installed or updated? You know, ask some questions around just renovations, just what changes have been made overall. No, that'll kind of help you also understand a little bit more of that personality types or how people describe the homes a little bit more. Can help clarify around that personality type I'm dealing with. Describe the house, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,500 square feet. Engineer type, very little detail, kind of just the facts, man. Versus somebody that elaborates a little bit more. It's 2-story, Cape Cod, great views on some acreage, a little bit more of what we call like a high, a talker, somebody you can kind of drive a little bit more we call like think or feel questions and feeling emotion based into there. Three important questions, I think in there, right? Just is the mortgage current?
Yeah,
Big one.
I'm gonna jump in here. So you
Yeah, which one are
asked
your
about
favorites?
how do you talk to people without them being embarrassed, right? It's really about, I went to the doctor today, got a new primary care physician. He did the whole thing and I had to, right, undress in front of him. You want someone that's so matter of fact, they just don't care, right? See, it was not awkward because he's done it so many times. When you ask someone about their financials, you have to just do it with the assurance that they're gonna tell you. And what you'll find is the people will give you their social security number. People will give you, if you just ask with authority, they just will tell you everything. Right?
If they believe that you are honestly trying to help them solve their problem.
Now, that's from the perspective of, I've been doing this for so long, not that I'm massively successful, but I just know that a solution. I guarantee you can find a solution. If I don't have a solution, I promise, like I know in my head, I'm gonna point you in the direction of a solution. You're gonna be better off with this conversation, right? At the very least, I'm really gonna listen to you, hear you, understand you, validate you, and I'll offer you some solutions if I don't think I'm the best fit for you. Once I know that, it's very easy to ask almost anyone anything personal.
So how do you establish authority with these people?
It's really that self-belief. Like, do I believe that I'm the best solution for them? Or do I believe that I have the resources and I'm willing to bring in someone who knows what they're doing to solve this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's leaning on things. I ask a ton of questions. Cory knows this. I do not try to solve stuff, right? I'm lazy.
We'll just
I
ask.
still run everything by Jamie. Hey, how would you price this? You know, I've been in real estate for 17 years. And so that I think is why, right? I feel confident in doing it because they're gonna get expert advice. May not be from me, but they're
Yeah.
gonna get expert
Yeah,
advice.
but you're gonna point them in the right direction. You just
Sure.
know that you're
In practice,
that person.
you're gonna just fail and fail and fail, and it's gonna be okay in terms of like on the phone. And then I would say, honestly, if you want to get good, depends how you do this stuff, is practicing. Like practicing the conversations like back and forth at home. Until the reason why people practice scripts is so you know what to say, so you can actually listen to them. You're not like thinking about what's the next thing I'm gonna say. So,
I'm a big proponent of scripts in the beginning,
yeah,
Mhm.
you know, and then what you can do is deconstruct the phone call immediately after you get off. What did I say that triggered that good response? What did I say that triggered the disconnect,
yep.
right? Where did this go? Where did this accelerate into a better call? Or where did it go off the rails? And what did I say, you know, under what context? And then dissect that.
For backstory, the reason why Bronco is holding court is Bronco at Microsoft and at Citrix was one of their top salespeople.
Oh, I'm sorry. Am I not?
No, you're great. No,
You're
like
great.
I'm holding court.
Dude,
No, you're
please,
good.
you're, yeah.
No, I'm
great,
letting you
man.
because,
I was kidding.
no, it's great advice.
Sorry, everybody.
No, I mean this, it's great advice. Like this is, I go to Bronco, we worked together before, interviewed him to run sales teams before, because he's run national sales teams at a very, very high level. And recruited it, and then all the scripting is the same. It's just the same stuff,
I
yeah.
can't recommend it more.
And then having a framework for your call. Whether it's an index card or something, like the reason why, if you're, and you don't know where to go, like I know where I'm going with the conversation. So then it's a lot easier to have it, right? Because it's going in a direction where it's predictable. I know what I'm gonna ask next. It's very hard if I let them drive the conversation. I'm on the phone, you know, it's going in somewhere I can't
Going
control
in
it.
their direction. If you
Yeah.
have a framework, you can wrap them back into your framework and get them back on track.
Very often, if you let them drive the conversation, right, they're gonna end up in the same place. Where they can't find the solution, you know what I mean? No one can help me, right? So I can't let them drive the conversation, because if they could solve their own problem, they might have already solved it. They need to let me walk them through and have like a different conversation they've had before. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah. totally.
Yeah, so we want to identify, is there a mortgage on the property, right? Is the mortgage current, right?
Any
Who's the
liens?
lender? What is all that stuff? Because you might have to help them get involved, talk to them, negotiate that, bring someone else in if you're not experienced with like doing a short sale or a foreclosure. There's plenty of people out there that have done so before, right? And then are there any liens or judgments to third parties? It could be a tax lien, it could be a contractor
Yeah,
lien.
mechanical lien.
Yep. You want to find out this stuff on the front end when you're going to make before I make my offer, right? Because I'm gonna have to pay this stuff off.
Yep.
And determine if it's gonna even make sense for
And really, the more problems you find, the better off for you, because less people can solve it.
them. Exactly.
So you really want them getting to talking about the problems.
Yep.
All-
Yeah.
Mhm.
Give me all the problems.
Motivation, I mean, as much as you can, like, you know, always circling back to situation and motivation and how you're gonna
And
solve
then when
that
you find
problem.
the problems, dig in.
You
How
wanna,
does that make you feel? How does that disrupt your lifestyle? Does it affect your kids? Does it make your wife angry? And just bubble that stuff up so it's real to them right then and there.
sure. I mean, you wanna maximize pain. If you're providing a solution,
Mhm.
right? You know, if you're providing a solution, because otherwise what happens is people just lose properties, they get nothing out of it. Right?
Some of something's better than all or nothing.
Thanks.
Yeah.
See, couldn't have said it better myself.
Two grapes, you better than one.
That's it. That's right. I'll find my little southern slang, but
They're the middle
I know.
batch. Oh my gosh.
I mean, really, like, you know, the last question, ultimately, I mean, the $1 million question is just, how much are you asking for that property? And then, I mean, this is where I guess the conversation, I guess, gets real at that point. So we've hit on motivation, but a good one to use, kind of one of my favorites here, is just we find that most people have a number in mind, and it helps us find the right solution when we know where you're coming from. So,
And then if I would go right back and ask them, so how much are you asking?
so how much are you asking for that?
Don't go another, don't add more to it, don't soften it. Right, what I've done is I've just said, here's what's normal, here's what happens often, we all want to be normal, right? And I'm gonna go right back to it, so how much are you asking?
How often are they just wildly off the mark? Or are they? I mean, once you get them having described all of the problems, do they give?
I mean, if you're gonna be doing business with them, probably almost always. Right, if they were on the market, the property would have sold somehow, or if they, right, price it correctly, market it, that's most of real estate.
So from there, I mean, if they're, they might give you an offer that's there, right? If you're already either familiar with this or can kind of do some research while you're talking with them. to better understand it. Otherwise I'd be driving to set the appointment. But really, when you're asking that question of like, how much are you asking or what's the price? You really need that, we needed them to speak first. That's really their
Right.
anchor at that point, what we would call kind of a low anchor or a high anchor.
Starting point.
It's a starting point, exactly, from there. So I mean, if you're at the computer already and you're able to, quickly develop it and kind of look at some info, maybe if it was on the market before, or they've been able to send you some photos, and you can kind of determine what this is roughly going to cost to do it. I mean, you can make that offer, then and there, right? We've used that formula before, that kind of 70% of that after repair value minus the cost of repairs. And that would be your offer on that property. And at that point, if you get to that point where you're actually going to be giving that offer, say on the phone, or even in person, I suppose, but certainly in this case, if we're on the phone still, you make that offer and that's it. And shut up.
Yep.
Whether that's 10 seconds reply, whether that's 20 seconds, that's going to feel like a long 20 seconds. You might be like, hello, making sure somebody's still there. But that's key.
What's the longest you ever sat, Cory?
Definitely, I mean, over 30 seconds for sure. I mean, it's
What's the
like,
longest you ever sat one of those questions, Bronco? I might have the longest.
Oh. Several minutes.
I had a 15-minute one once.
Yeah.
It's a salary negotiation in that Marriott, whatever, that
Yeah.
Triangle Hotel with this guy that was like the toughest negotiator I knew, and I was trying to help his assistant. And I remember asking him, and I had to just sit there in silence
And
because I knew I would lose because he was just a
do
animal.
not speak.
Yep.
Bite your tongue. Bite your tongue. I kid you not. That is very good advice right there. He who
Yeah.
speaks first loses at
Yes.
that particular pivotal point with that question.
Yep. And it's just practice, right? This is just a business transaction, so it's going to take some time to just, right?
It's very awkward not to try and fill that space.
Yep.
oh yeah, you're
Very,
gonna want
very-
to. It's super tempting just to talk and do something.
Resell,
Yeah,
resell,
yeah.
resell.
Yes.
But that's really at a point where, you have to just lay your chips out there and see where it goes. Now they're going to come back with some kind of, or no, that's not going to work, or I've got a better offer already. Well, at least now we're engaging, and you can kind of take the conversation from there. I mean, if we're close, even on price at that point, I would be saying set an appointment. Well, I'm going to come out there. Sounds like we can do business. Sounds like we can maybe make some work there.
And this
Need to-
is when you might be able to use the script we talked about before in terms of seller financing, right? What number do you need to get?
In the perfect world.
Mhm.
Yes, exactly.
And
Okay.
how's that working for you now?
Hey, fantastic. I can give you that number. Have you ever thought about owner finance? Now, depends, what situation they're in. And then you get them to, great, yeah, I'll buy it at retail if you're gonna carry the note for 20 years. I can pay a lot more if you're gonna carry the note. And Jason did that one, you got 0% interest. He's like, sure, yeah, I'll give you,
I'll give you one
instead of
close.
70%, I'll give you 100% on there, 0% interest over 20 years. Because that's what that person wanted. Hey,
Perfect.
wouldn't it be
Hey, that
easier to
guy's-
spread out, wouldn't it be easier to spread this all out over, 5,000 a year instead of 100K at once, paying all the taxes on it? A lot easier to write that
About
off.
$5,000 than it is
Yeah,
to
you
write off
got-
100.
The thing here is speed. It is speed. You do not want, with a situation like this, you do not want to wait until the next day. You do not want to wait until tomorrow. You want to strike while the iron is hot because they are talking to other people. And I've lost it on listings. Right, Cory? I've lost it on if someone's this motivated to sell
Oh,
it,
yeah.
they're willing to take an offer from you over the phone. Get that contract to them versus email, get to them in person. Right?
Speed is going to be the key in there. So yeah, if you've got the capabilities, some kind of e-signing platform or things like that, get their info, get it in front of them, look to get it under contract. Because at that point, you'll be able to determine what your next steps are going to be with that. If that's going to be something you're going to say buy and hold or fix up, or you're going to flip it, or you want to wholesale it.
So that brings up a good question, and you guys would know the answer to. So let's go back to the situation where you got two wholesalers, it's on the MLS, and they're still talking to you. Would you still send them the DocuSign, get it under, and then work out the back stuff after that?
No, I'm probably not getting in the middle of
Just
that.
do-
Well, I don't know,
Yeah.
we're agents. So I definitely wouldn't, because it's just too, I don't want to be tied up with that, like my name on there. If I was a private individual, I probably wouldn't. I'd want to clear it up anyways.
Yeah,
You know, and-
I would be trying to get in the middle of like other people's multiple contracts and
Okay,
That's
legally
just,
flying around.
that's just me. I think there's opportunity costs.
so I think that's good advice, but I think that that's probably not gonna be uncommon in today's market.
Sure.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
But I think there's opportunity, well, because is your country even enforceable? Like, I mean, maybe, kind of use your judgment, right? Like, if they feel committed, or they've got some commitment to you, that could be valuable.
But if they've signed a contract with a real estate agent, like for a 6-month term to sell their house, that real estate agent has a property interest in that contract and in that property.
Yeah, but they can cancel.
Yeah.
Tennessee's pretty consumer friendly.
I have a friend whose real estate agent sued him, got tens of thousands of dollars out of him.
Here in Tennessee?
Yeah, in Knoxville, because the real estate agent was so rude to him. He said, "I'm not gonna work with you." He told him within 24 hours of signing the contract.
Yeah.
That guy took my friend to court and enforced that contract.
You really was rude,
Interesting. Yeah, for real,
Piece of
right?
crap.
right?
And
Yeah.
my friend, was out, I think over 10 grand plus attorney's fees,
Yeah,
just defending himself
know.
on this thing.
yeah. I mean, I would.
I've had I could see that, and I've had the opposite experience where almost everyone I know works on a retail level with the public and just walks.
Yeah,
Now, it depends
reputation.
how far into it you are, and if you've spent money, and if like what the situation is, then yeah, you're
Have you,
entitled
have
to
you
a
already,
commission.
yeah, have you sold it? Or have you already sold it once, twice? Yeah.
That's his business. That's how he gets the money.
Freaking lawyer.
That's his business model, right?
Yeah,
Anyway, I'm just saying,
Sure.
just because most real estate agents are cool.
I don't know
all
if they're,
of them
I don't know
are.
if they're cool, it's just their interests align. It's just about incentives, right?
I'm pretty cool.
I don't got time for that shit.
No doubt.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
I just
no,
let it go.
We're good, bye.
Yeah.
Let's go to the next.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want the reputation of I sue my clients for commission. I look, I never had to be in there.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
And I offer an easy out. Like, maybe we might ask,
Let me tell
hey,
you, I'll
you've
never
spent some
work
money,
with Remax
do you
after
mind
doing that
reimbursing us for
story.
photos and call it a day? But regardless, that's their problem, that's not my problem.
Yeah,
Mhm.
So is it a problem, but is it a problem I have to solve on the front end? No, if you're asking me, should I go get it under contract? I would get in person. Tennessee is still very much a face-to-face state, right? Culturally. We are a face-to-face state, getting there, especially if you're competing with other people that are doing this all over the phone. Going there in person, looking someone in the eyes, shaking their hand, right? Telling them you're gonna do right by them, goes a long way.
I agree.
Huge way.
Yeah,
no, I totally agree. I mean,
Um,
if they're already under contract with someone else, it's like,
Yeah, I'm personally not getting them in.
I wouldn't, but it's just, at the same time, if you choose to do that, you're not gonna be the one losing the money. That make sense? Like if they're choosing to extricate themselves from that real estate contract, they're gonna be
that's on
liable.
them.
They're gonna
Yeah.
be liable regardless of whether I'm involved or not, right?
Yeah, I'm just wondering if that other party can put a lien on the property.
I don't know. I mean, I don't
That
know.
would, make.
I love it.
title not
Yeah.
Clear,
Possibly.
No, possibly.
I
Ask
think,
my husband about this scenario.
I don't know.
It's messy.
Yeah,
I think there's so many problems already. I try not to look for problems that aren't there. I love the answer, but the answer is I have no idea.
I know this is such a competitive environment and sellers could very easily say, they want to keep their options open and they'll like, yeah, whoever's bringing me the best price.
Sure.
Sure.
So they could, it could be word of mouth kind of contracts,
Yeah.
like they can have 5 of them at the same time.
I guess what I'm saying though is like, I have no way of knowing how you're handling your personal business. So I have to only advocate for myself. So in that instance, like, could I try to walk you through it? Could I try to refer you to someone to get you out of it? Fantastic. All I'm saying is as the person who's trying to buy this property at a discount, if you chose to enter into a contract with that person, you're not putting yourself in a negative position. Is it a hurdle you might have to overcome? Yes. Is it a hurdle that's going to come out of your end? No.
yeah, it's gonna be on them.
So I'm just saying, at some point, if the deal becomes untenable, you could still walk away from the deal, but you're not like obligated to pay this person commission or something.
Yeah.
Right? They've entered
You don't
into the
wanna be out
binding
here earning
agreement,
money.
So I think that's all I'm saying is like, it's no different than any other entanglement they have on the property, right? They're responsible. You're trying to ask these questions on the front end because you want to make sure you're bringing a deal that solves all of their problems, right? I'm making a good faith offer. I found out everything that you owe on the property, to everybody, and then I'm offering you whatever I need to above that to get the deal done.
Yeah. So in this area, are there title companies that are better at handling these kind of transactions than others that like know to look for
Yes, and let's
Like
talk
every
about that after
conceivable
the,
need?
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's different title
yeah,
companies, yeah, that can
Well,
handle different
yeah.
scenarios. Some are a little more wholesale friendly or things like that. There's definitely different ones in there overall, but ideally, perfect world, right? We've committed to a price or gotten in there that we can at least commit to an appointment. You can get out there that you can at least determine what you're going to do with it from there. Right, if it's price or the condition's not right, or you may be able to refer them to somebody who can ultimately just put them in a better position overall. That might be an agent, that might be an attorney. It might make sense just to go ahead and list the property if say you're an agent already and it's just kind of a leg of your business. It might make sense to just turn this into a listing and, hey, the number's not going to work sense for me, but we can still get you paid and keep it moving.
But what you've done there is you've established trust.
yes,
Yeah.
Okay, and how you would leave that situation, how I would leave that situation is, but if things change in the future, don't hesitate, keep my number and give me a call.
Yeah, that's true, because that deal, if they don't. work
Whatever they're doing
initially,
might
it
fall
can-
through.
Right.
And now you've
And
established.
here's one
trust.
thing, don't keep the first thing first, right? I love what you're doing. You're thinking through everything. If you can't get them to sign on the dotted line, it's irrelevant. If you can't identify motivated sellers, which you got to hold on the training on, right? It's irrelevant. If you don't estimate renovations, it's irrelevant. So this is, how do I identify a motivated seller? I've got to go out there and get the business. And then I get to earn the right to deal with all the problems. But sometimes me thinking through all the problems, I know certainly when I was new as a salesperson is a way of avoiding picking up the phone
Taking a phone, taking
and
action.
selling, convincing a stranger to work with me, right? Convincing, learning the skills to get them to open up. It's way easier to think about the tactics and the logistics. I've got experience solving problems. I don't have experience, right? Convincing people like emotionally to make decisions, right? That is not a natural skill.
That's learned.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep, so be friendly but authoritative, right? Determine motivation, make the offer, set the appointment, and just be clear on what you're doing. I'll leave you with, jump on here. I became a much better realtor when I started calling myself a salesperson. When I was like, well, I'm not a salesperson. I'm a realtor, but I'm not a salesperson. But I am a salesperson. And I embrace that. I'm a professional salesperson. That's why you're hiring me, right? That's what I do this for a living. You know, you're a professional investor. That's why you're calling, right? Like, I'm here to be helpful, but like, I'm looking to acquire your property at what is a fair price that's gonna solve your thing, so I can go benefit from
You're coming from the mindset though, that you're helping people go.
it. 100%.
How benefits us.
Yep,
I'm coming from contribution.
yep,
it's there to
Of
help.
course, I want to sell their house,
yeah,
but I'm not just going straight to the,
no,
you know,
no, but I think if you're brand new, this
you're
is,
genuine.
but there's something about, right, you're there to set the appointment and get the deal. And then you can be as nice or kind or problem solving as you want to be, or as thorough as you want to, right? But you've got to be able to get the deal first. Or else
Gotta get
I find
the
that I was more attracted to the more difficult deals, and I look with contempt on people that was like, oh, you don't even solving. And it turns out that, oh, all those people were getting all the business from the people would work with the first person that called them. And don't they deserve to work with someone like you rather than someone unethical? Yeah.
Yeah, I know face-to-face makes all the difference.
So what are we doing with the appointment, Cory? You're great at this.
Man, I love setting the appointment. It's my favorite. That's one of the favorite times of my day. Anytime I can get an appointment set, it's another opportunity just to really go help somebody at the end of the day. Some things to look out for. I made a mistake on some of my first listing appointments, like just making sure all parties that are going to be responsible to this party are actually going to be there. That they're actually going to be all in person that can sign. Oh, dude, totally. Second listing appointment I ever had. Went out there, pitched the husband. All went well. Yeah, great. And then it was, oh, I gotta talk with the wife and come back tomorrow. And I just felt so defeated. Like, no, right?
You get it?
Oh yeah, totally. just went back the next day and talked, and it all worked out, and then they had moved away, and then they moved back, and I helped them buy a house, so it all really like worked out really, really nice. But definitely totally blew that first opportunity I had, really just working with a couple, was just making sure that all parties that can sign are there and present, and then just making sure they were just checking the status of the deal, if there's any kind of paperwork or things to clear up. And talk a little bit about just kind of framing or what those questions would look like in terms of setting an appointment. Happy to kind of go in on that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just, you need to just ask those, like explicitly ask all that stuff. Hey, who else is on title to this house that would need to sign for us to have an agreement? Fantastic, great, awesome. When are they all available? I want to meet y'all at once so that way we can get this done. Period. Don't say more. Don't get yourself out there looking at it. Don't try to be nice. If you're not being nice, you're just going to meet them twice. It's a waste of their time. They may think like their time being wasted, but they're not going to. Those people are always happier when you sell them efficiently, even if they're fighting the process.
And gas at $5 a gallon now.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And then power of attorney, XPR. Yeah, I don't know.
Pure, no, I would think,
Great
power of
question.
attorney, for sure.
So do they have a power of attorney? Are they upside down? Do they have all the paperwork that they need, right, to sign that property? Just asking them if they have it.
Does the bank need to sign off on it?
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, and certainly just once you're out there at the property, circling back, re-verifying, asking those similar questions that you just had on that phone call. So again, circling, verifying motivation, circumstances, walking around asking about any deficiencies or issues that are there with the property that they know about or seen. If you're going to see, obviously, if there's something wrong that maybe they didn't notice before, how long has this roof been leaking? How long has that pipe, or how long has water been coming in this basement? Circling back, right, reiterating your offer that you're there, kind of making your pitch. Again, at that point, like you've made that offer, shut up. Same as if you were just on the phone. Once you said it, that's the offer. And first one to speak loses. Be ready to go, bring your contracts, and then get it done. You want to expand on that?
yeah, just when you're going to hear different things when you ask the same questions. So you ask the same questions. Very often you're going to hear a different, right? They're stressed, so you guess the same thing. Well, they told you one thing, and you get another part of it right now that you're out there.
Wife might be more open to talking about things than the husband.
Mhm.
Yep.
Person you talk to on the phone.
Sure.
Well, to me, explain that your partner may be at closing.
We'll get there. Yeah, that's a good question. So all cash, this is because you may be wholesaling it or something,
Wholesaling deal.
right? So, or you may not choose to attend closing.
Yeah.
Right? Very, very often you may not choose to attend closing, especially if you're wholesaling the deal or just, you don't really have a reason to be at closing. Very often, nothing good will come out of you going to closing. I want to be nearby, but like, things can go wrong when you are at closing. We had a deal blow up at
At
closing.
closing.
After it was closed, they're all sitting around hanging out because this buyer and the seller are in the same room talking to each other. This just happened.
Last time that ever
What
happened.
was that 900 and?
No, it's about an $800,000 land deal. Just evaporated right there at the table.
So.
After the time?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It happened though, Ken.
Yeah,
Everyone
money's
signs
not-
off.
Yeah,
So,
money hasn't been funded, all that. Yeah, it's a mess.
what does that look
We'll
like?
grab
Yeah.
margaritas, we'll talk.
That offer you want to make it as simple as possible, right? Back out your numbers, all cash as is. This is what you're putting in your pocket. So if you're gonna pay the commissions or whatever, if you had some fees on your end. Factor the repairs into the offer that you're making, right? Offer to pay their closing costs. That'll be the strongest offer,
That's what
because
they
they want to be, they'd much rather hear 75 and that's cash in their pocket, right?
Not mine.
We're gonna give you 75 cash and they can do the math on what they gotta pay off. Not, we're gonna give you 85, but really you're gonna have to pay, right, 10K.
Commissions.
That'd be my
Closing
advice,
costs,
is keep it as
things like
simple as you can. have your contract with you. Have it ready. If you haven't done this before, mark it up. If you're doing this just as an acquisition, you should have a 1 to 2 page contract. Keep it real simple, you know, you can probably get one from another investor pretty easy.
I've got them.
I say, yeah,
Yeah.
I've got them, messing me out.
Vetted by Tennessee lawyers.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I just went through one this weekend and I was like, so poorly drafted, but, you know, they've been using it for 5 years, and never had a problem,
Sure.
but it was very poorly drafted.
Oh, just a couple.
Because you guys are licensed real estate professionals, do you have to do personal interest disclosures along with those 2-page contracts?
oh, I wouldn't be doing that. I use a full residential. real estate
Purchase
contract.
agreement.
Purchase a contract.
That's what I do personally, you know.
We don't use the short one.
Hmm?
We want to use the short one.
You certainly can.
Can,
You
I mean, mine's a
Do you?
I've used the other one, but it depends on how I'm involved in it, you know. I bought them straight up as a residential one. I like the contingencies more. I like a longer contract because I like the language in it better, right?
Yeah.
You know, that's just me, and I think it protects me more. Yeah, I would have a personal interest disclosure, 100%. You know, sometimes a license makes it harder. So in instances, as a licensed agent, we'll have another talk. Totally different approach.
Well, I'm just wondering, like, because one of the questions I had was 70% ARV minus construction costs.
Mhm.
Are you seeing that as a possibility and opportunities in this market? And if so, you know, you're gonna run into certain deals where the numbers don't make sense and it's under contract, and it's better that I sign the deal and move on. I know in that situation, I need to disclose that I am a real estate professional, even though I am assigning the contract to. a
I think
investor.
we did. Were you there for the one we did where we talked about basically how to wholesale?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it would all go back to rewatching that. Like we went and read a whole section on how to ethically wholesale as a realtor. But
I think
then this
personal
is
disclosure.
part of the package, right? I'm gonna have the presentation we're gonna go through a listing presentation. We're also gonna talk about, I have a quick cash offer available to you, but I'm gonna make sure that you're not signing that document when I would have been better served by taking the actual listing and selling it directly to it, right?
I'm with you.
I don't wanna be in the middle of that.
Yeah.
Right, unless it's what you wanna do.
Well, I think that what I got from both of you guys is just the mindset of when I walk into a listing appointment, would I buy this house?
Mhm.
And if I would buy this house and I need to solve a problem,
Yep.
then I need to make sure the numbers work.
Mhm.
And I guess on the paperwork side, I don't want to get tripped up with 20 pages of documents when 2 will do.
Oh,
But if I need to disclose personal interest, then I want to make sure it just stays clean. And I know you guys are experienced with that.
it's practicing it.
Okay.
It's practicing that presentation at the table.
I mean, Cory and I have already talked. I mean, I'm probably going to be involved in them on the first one anyway.
Sure.
Cool.
Yep.
And I've partnered with realtors before on deals. We've gone in together. And when I talk with clients about the partner being a realtor, if the money's there and the deal fits in a perfect world deal, they don't care.
No,
Cool.
no, but yeah, to your question, like wholesale, I think it's a whole other we talked about that for a long time, the nuances of, am I ethically wholesaling, you know, or am I not giving them all the information I would have given them as an agent using, you know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you have to have that agency conversation anyways.
Yeah.
Of the fact, right, with your agent, so
Yeah, so.
very different kind of approach.
Sorry for the rabbit trail.
No.
No,
Yeah.
I think it's a great one.
Yeah.
But like, if you're not an agent, that sounds like you're less encumbered. I mean, you're just a person buying from another person.
Less disclosure.
As an agent in the state of Tennessee, I always have to be clear on the fact that I am an agent and who I represent in the transaction. Every agent you talk to, when you're in an open house or something, should be having this conversation with you, right? So they know really clearly, like, hey, Don, I seem really friendly. I'm here to get money out of your pocket. I'm not here to negotiate a fair deal. I'm here to maximize the interests of my client. Like legally, I have to, right?
You should be.
But I mean,
Yeah.
I have a legal obligation to put their interests ahead of yours.
Right.
And, you know, unless I'm a transaction partner, in which case I'm trying to like meeting of the minds, right? Both your needs meet, fantastic, everyone's happy. Otherwise, like if I'm working on behalf of someone specifically, so same thing, if I'm meeting someone here, You just want to be clear, right? That's why it would be kind of murky of like, how did I go into that? Was I, am I acting representing myself? Or was I quasi acting, it was a listing appointment? And it's still representing myself?
Yeah.
That's why I think we went into it in such detail. It's a good recording to go back and watch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the ins and outs of it, because it can be
Yeah.
tricky. And then on that price point, I mean, that say 70%, like, that's really gonna be up to you and your risk tolerance. I mean, can it be done in this market? Yes, like I have seen that happen. I've also seen people buying it like, say, upwards of 85% of the after repair value minus that, because they're still gonna have a profit margin. I think it just depends circumstantially on the house condition, situation. That's gonna be kind of fluid overall. If something's pretty otherwise turnkey, aside from some cosmetic stuff.
We've got
I'll have
a
little
flip
more tolerance
that we
there.
bought in the 60s. Yeah, for sure.
In
Yeah,
the
that flip that we're
60s.
doing right now, the 60%. We bought it for 91. We'll probably have 52 in it, and I got listed for 200.
You mean 60s?
60%, you're talking about that 60% of
That's how much
ARV.
margin you had.
Yeah,
Wow, that's incredible.
And your best deals are gonna be off market.
And that's like,
You gotta
of
have a system of off market deals.
Yeah.
course, that's finding the property and factoring in your closing costs and carrying costs too.
yeah, but I think the bigger thing is like, so a lot of questions were about how to find the deal. You asked that again, right? It's being in the space and letting people know that you're here offering a solution.
Yeah.
They called me up. I got a call that said, hey, do you have a cash investor that'll buy my house? I said, sure do. And, right, so that's,
I didn't get that phone call.
but so, 'cause you weren't here yet. One of the guys here got that phone call. I know. So that's it. I think that's the bigger piece, right? It's just, how are you doing that? Is that word of mouth? Are you being deliberate? Are you sending letters? We've gone through those before too, like different prospecting ways you find it, but the bigger thing is just like, do people around you know that that's what you do for a living, is you help solve problems? Yeah,
That's a good
I actually
point.
have software that generates lists I can help people out with as well.
I love it.
Yeah, that's huge.
Presenting solutions. Case in point.
Yeah.
I'm gonna talk, so we're talking about psychology. You want to go through psychology, wrap this up? here?
Yeah, I do, because it's certainly like a big factor on it overall, is just knowing the mindset of the person involved on this, right? A truly motivated person will be basically selling you, their house at that point. And just being able to tie back that down. Hey, this, putting the positive spin on it, we call that kind of negative selling. Say, it sounds like a really nice place. What takes you leaving out of here? God, why would you ever want to move out of this neighborhood? It's fantastic. And they're going to be the ones telling, well, we've got to do, this, that, the other thing. We got to get to the moon as quick as we can, or whatever. Our puppy's having kittens in Florida, and we got to go, and time is of the essence. Those are going to be big pieces on it
The
overall.
other thing you can do with that, that's very slick, because the other thing you do, you can take it one step further and say, what happens if you don't solve
Right.
this? What happens if you don't get to Florida by June 30th? And then more stuff comes up. Well, then the world falls apart. Right?
Yeah.
That makes sense?
Yeah,
It's the
absolutely.
next step that you need to
That
take.
kind of, plussing it, right? What's
So
this
we
gonna
need
do to
to
your
do
family, right? How is this gonna
What
possibly
happens if
impact?
that
What happens if
doesn't
it doesn't
happen?
stop?
Well,
Well,
my
that's
wife
not an
told me-
option, right? Yeah, they'll put it out there as far as
Yeah.
this is not an option at that point. This has to sell, like, period, end of story. So always making sure to bring that conversation back to that kind of situation, motivation, and asking clarifying questions around that.
And keep in mind, it's not like a car sale. It's not a one-time close. So if you're afraid to ask something like, why do you need my help? Like, that will come up at some point in the, even in the 7 days you're doing this or whatever, you're putting a contract on there. So ask them. They'll tell you. I guess I don't. All right. They're not a motivated seller. Right? It's different from an agent. They're not a motivated seller. You don't have like a sign you're gonna throw in the yard where maybe you're gonna get some business from us. You're just gonna have opportunity cost where the time you're spending messing around with the deal that's not gonna close, you could have been forced to go find deals that would close.
Huge. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, big one for sure. Questions, comments, queries, quibbles, concerns?
You had a couple of this.
Yeah, you were.
No, you answered.
Cool.
I just wanted to have a fun properties. I have questions about how you get foreclosures.
How do you get foreclosures?
Pre-foreclosure, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I
Right,
used to
find
use, I used to use Zillow.
Yeah, Zillow used to have that.
So I like what you
Was
said.
that real though?
Yeah,
The Zillow pre-foreclosure?
Sure.
so with the pre-foreclosures, and then I'll let Bronco, what the pre-foreclosures are doing, are just yes and no. What it was doing was it was just automatically looking at public records, and anytime like a lease pendant was filed, right? Because there's a step in a foreclosure process. One of the first steps is you have to file a lease pendant, which is letting everyone know in the process
Public.
that, yeah, there's a 30-day window there. Hey, we're gonna take this thing potentially, so if you've got interest, come let us know, get in line to get your money before we do this. So yes, but sometimes like you're with the HOA and you're battling with the HOA and you're not paying your fees, and they file a lease pendant, so I would get all these calls about $5,000, is this place really available for $5,000? No. No, they're gonna just pay, they're gonna pay the HOA fees.
Yeah.
It's gonna
They're
go
not
away.
gonna-
Leverage that the HOA has.
Yeah,
Sure.
Finally get them to pay attention.
Whatever, yeah, exactly. Or they're going through the process that they have to go through, like filing posting notices when you're a landlord, right? You're not trying to evict everyone you post notices on. Right, you just want them to pay you the money.
Mhm.
So, in this market, I would just look at probably, there's some,
It's tough now because you can sell your house before the bank will grab it,
right.
right? You can put it on the market, even a FISBO. You probably have already seen it where people are in trouble financially and they'll sell it themselves. They don't have to pay a realtor the, $15,000 commission or whatever. And that gives them money to move on in the next chapter of their life. So, this is definitely a seller's market. What I've been doing is I've got access to specific software that I can query a number of different. So what I've been going after lately is I've been sending letters out to out-of-state owners, vacant properties that have been vacant for like 3 or 4 months. And you can tell by how long they've owned the property that was a rental. And I can actually go in deep and find out if maybe a spouse died and you've got a lady that owns, and they might own like 6 different properties. And the husband just died or they've got bad renters, like you were saying earlier, and she's just done. They've made their money 3, 4 times over on that house and she will just take it, right? I've got about an $8,000 motorcycle right now. I would give it away for $3,000 because I'm just tired of messing with it, right? It's only got 4,000 miles on it. And I'm not, also, anybody room for $4,000. But I'm just saying, people get
My
fed
wife
up,
would be stoked about it, but I'd be
right?
curious.
They get fed up. And that's where you send the letters, because, the lease pendants that you were talking about, those folks, you're gonna get 25 letters. They're gonna hit the mailbox. People are not gonna even go out to their mailbox.
I
And
do
then
them
the-
every day.
Then the real jerks are gonna be
On my
bringing the phone
refrigerator.
off the hook. So I'm doing a different angle now. I'm trying to find houses that they're off market, nobody's talking to. And just trying to, and then I'll drive them into
Yeah.
a one-page website. This is, hey, listen, if you're tired of it,
Go ahead.
give me a holler. Nobody's gonna pressure you. Let's have a conversation. If you like it, great. If you don't, that's okay too.
I'm one of the jerks that's calling. I'm calling non-owner occupieds. That's 1 day a week for me, is just calling people, looking up their info, giving them a call. Hey man, what's going on? So you got this place, you thought about selling it? Yes, no, awesome. Fantastic, man. You're an investor in the area. I see though, you looking to buy and stuff still?
There you go.
Still looking at a good deal? If a good deal came across your desk, take a look at it? Yeah.
See, that's a good.
So, yeah, I'll always try, right? I'll go at least look at it. Great. Bro, I send these through email. What's the best email for you? ABC at 123. Fantastic. I'm gonna get some of these deals to you, man. By the way, I run this awesome investor meeting. Come on, check this out, right? You can take that question, but it's a great call. It's very easy. And I talked to the guy last week, been a local builder in the area, in the 60s, owns about 9 properties. Some he wants to kind of sell outright, others he's looking to sell or finance. So I drove around on Saturday and took a look. I like it. We're gonna talk this week and see what we can do kind of there. So I just call him and just have that
And
conversation.
how many builders do you think he knows?
Oh, no doubt. Yeah.
They're in the same boat.
Yep.
do I know to find
What do you
deals?
use to get the number?
TruePeopleSearch.com is
You
my
tried that
favorite one.
forewarn?
I have. Yep, that Forewarn app. I haven't dove into it too much, but I have used it in the past just to quick background check or that kind of thing. find
Anybody
info.
drive for dollars?
I used to.
Saturday morning, just
Yeah.
get up and go drive
If
around.
you want to find him, call Jason McDaniel. Go spend a day with him. You have his number? He was here last week, last month, talking about how to negotiate.
There's golden grass and mailbox fitter stuff and.
I don't remember everybody.
You'd be surprised. Keep us a notepad.
You are.
He
Yeah,
was the guy
I'll
that
introduce
is
you to him.
about 40 properties and the offer to take anyone out that wants to learn.
Are you doing it?
Yeah.
I'll get you,
I'm a bell, I
I'll get
have-
you guys like connected and stuff. But I mean, really, like, I keep a notepad in my car, dude. Or like on my phone, but like, I'll just keep a notepad in my car. That if I'm driving around in like a neighborhood or something, hell, even my own neighborhood, and take a lap and something looks like crap.
I'm not trying to like run a
You talking
business
about
on
Right,
that.
yeah, but if you said-
This is for me
You're talking
Yeah,
about solving-
I mean, that's,
But I think a lot of it
When
is,
there'll
How do
be
you
a time.
search it?
Yeah.
Go to the list, it's all-
Yeah.
I don't need it now.
but I do think a lot of it is if you're driving, it's just looking at it, looking it up, calling, email, letter, like, just visually identifying, like, what is going on?
You can put your-
I've got one every time I go to a flip house. What is going on with that property?
Yeah.
yeah.
What is going, the house in Washington is one of them. Like, who's been sitting here forever? I need to find out.
Yeah.
I mean,
They're not doing foreclosure, like, probate.
No, I'm saying, where is?
I think that's where I'd be looking more than just.
Oh, it's just
These virtual wholesalers.
Yeah, I have no
Yeah,
interest.
that's Prop Street, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's who, like, for me, man, it's just, I look for mostly for personal acquisition. Just what can I find out here that makes sense?
All right, we're gonna shut off the recording. We can all network in here.
I love the feel felt found.
Yeah?
Well, yeah, I've
Actually heard it before. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was good.
Awesome, man. So, grab some numbers in the room, sign up for the next meeting on gridknoxville.com and leave us a review. What's that? Yeah.
Yeah,
Gridknoxville.com.
it links you to the meetup. We just have that URL that will link you
Yep.
to that.
Yeah,
that meetup
exactly.
page.
Anything to do.
Yeah.
with your personal
Cool.
trade whatsoever, it's all based on the numbers on the property.
Good stuff, man.
Should we look how we're talking?
Yeah, right. Be on the phone, kind of thing.
I'm working on some software.
Sweet, bro.
Just
Yeah.
to Excel
Yeah,
spreadsheet.
next month, I would say too, just, is just how to rehab for big profits. So really how to kind of maximize your dollars overall and really evaluating rehab projects. So
You gotta go
definitely,
back and.
sure you make it out.
It'll be first
Something.
Tuesday.
First,
right?
that's always first Tuesday of every month, 6 o'clock. Right here.
What'd you get out of that? What was you
Yeah.
supposed to do?
Takeaways,
It's actually a cool place.
ahas.
So like I sold cars for like 3 or so years, like
Yeah.
years ago, just like for a little bit of difference, obviously, like it's, seemed like it was a little more complicated, but like it kind of
but
reinforced
looking
some
at my
stuff
personal
that
investment.
Hey, I remember that, you know.
Yeah,
so-
you're doing the same thing, you're trying to tie down, right? Other than price and payment, is there anything that prevents you from walking out with this new vehicle today, right? Isolating that, so you do the one thing.
Yeah, I also noticed some like body language stuff that you feel like you do, like subconsciously now, like whenever, like you're really doing now, it's like not in your head.
No.
You know, like, right?
Really.
So, anyway, yeah, so it's, I can tell you've done
I'm on
this.
Yeah.
Been around it a long time.
And then you're like super energetic, you know, you're just like, hey, how you doing? I'm like, she does all the extrovert stuff for me.
Sure.
What are you doing today?
I'm a trainer.
And, you know, I'm looking
I just
at
work in the gym all day.
years when I'm out
Sure.
there.
That also.
Good place.
Your own
And
business.
that's also sales as well.
Sure,
But
sure.
it's like I tried to make it like.
You got a business card, I see it.
I actually don't have one on me.
No, I mean, you are a business card.
You are your own business
I was
card,
like,
yeah.
there.
I believe you. I don't, we have no off 2 more months of like, you know, like Thanksgiving, Christmas time, you know.
Excel spreadsheet. Here's the names, phone numbers.
There's a small gym in Rockville.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's a terrible name for a gym. Yeah, it's a good gym.
I would buy monthly ones like that.
I don't.
So it's 12 months.
I mean, I know a lot of people saying, but that doesn't.
But if you're taking You know,
was visa training.
you want to be in and out.
Cool. Yeah, I've been
You know,
training.
in 4 months,
Right.
so that you can do.
Parker, how you doing, man? Good
many
seeing you.
deals
Good
throughout
stuff.
the
Yeah,
year.
good.
You know,
That's
so you're taking
cool.
12
Man, I
months.
always thought that if I was training,
From the last week, Thursday.
That's the next thing you're gonna be doing, man.
Like, I gotta go first. That's
Make a difference.
I will contractors.
Figure it out.
Until you find people
I
that.
think I'm definitely they're getting the rental money. Crazy properties. I trained on my dad's buddy for years. Over to put all the money up front. If I find a good deal. Every time.
Exactly.
Literally, it's
Yeah, hey, right? I'm looking to get into. She'll come in like, she'll come in and get half hour. Run out. Come back in.
Depends on the size of the project.
Just try it.
Like little,
I'll be here next month.
Try and stay away from the roof.
I know, what's over.
Yeah, so she's the one who kind of.
Phil felt found.
That's really bad. You know, that shit bothers me, because the technology's getting better now. Foundation probably.
Yeah, it's all the same. So that's why I was like, yeah, as Chris said, he's like, I know masters. We should be able to.
Funny that you like being the same person.
Yeah, she's well known, like she's like, I'm renting her.
That's scary, but at the same time, he said, can you go?
She's like, yeah, they know this is
Just the same wall. Like, I go out and it's building. Basically.
I've got the kitchen.
Come to, oh, like, yeah. That's why I texted you, so I was like,
Yeah.
you can't keep it up, buddy.
Right, and then I'd go redo the kitchen, and the women were like, and the guy goes in the front.
Buy this, take it back to the room.
Yeah, I love this.
Money opportunities are just
Maybe we need to look at that ARV more. Because the money was there.
When I normally.
Don't worry about the
Yeah,
shelf
yeah,
price.
yeah.
Just go, who cares what they're asking, like, that guy made $60K.
But if I would bring the money.
Yeah, that was like the first one. I did one over.
I bring the money,
Like, right, first
and then
damn.
I split something out, yeah. So the way I do it is 70-30.
Yeah.
So after it's all
The
done.
whole basement.
cash settles down. Whatever the problem is,
They're asking for
130.
$125. Somebody always bigger. 140.
Yeah.
Dude, it looked, I think it cost
Everybody tell me, hey, listen,
$30.
I got 4 months.
She's even there.
Right? This is a 4-month deal. I give it to you for a year.
Almost in the.
4 months.
Make money on it.
Scary.
On the 5th month, at the end of the 5th month, it goes to 30 to 40. At the end of the.
Right, and so.
It goes
you know,
from 40 to 50.
You gotta find the.
Right,
So I'm just trying to-
but then I'm still.
Looking for a way out.
I don't know, but, you know.
Like a good one's gonna help you kind of underwrite that deal and know
Maybe,
that
hopefully won't
it's a
be.
good deal.
So what happened to me
Reading,
was,
like,
I was doing pretty much by myself, cash out, all my own cash,
Groceries agents.
housing, everything. around it. And then you got all these little.
It gives you an exit while you're buying it, and then.
But I couldn't do it anymore. It's like, that's it. I'm maxed out.
Coming to that person.
So you didn't mention it,
yes, you're here, probably should. You're here for a
Trying to
reason.
level up.
That's
So,
why you're
yeah,
sitting in the
hopefully
room.
minimum
That's why you-
salary, this will get you to
Yeah.
7 or 8 deals.
He's a great risk.
But I think if you just get out there,
Now you can level up.
The guy's based on one. He's still got it now.
This will, this will help you.
He's got to fix it up, and then, so it's like, he's not gonna jump at a switch that's, he's not.
I
gonna
help
Anything over 100,
I
he's gonna make
help
over
in this
$100,000. He's not going in on it.
And then you actually.
But you stop taking a apprentice, he's not gonna give it up to somebody, he has no kids, he's alive, he has no kids, so.
I want you to do it right.
This might be a pretty good opportunity, you know, it's never really that hard work. I got that.
You get a reputation.
Yeah, if you find anything,
And
people
also
like you,
That guy.
Good, how are you doing? Yeah, I was listening to last month's
for a couple
And,
months, like,
someone was here who kept talking about renting.
Can't show that I'm
Do you remember who that was?
risk, other than just.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
for Okay, that's his model. He read.
I have.
I do, yeah, I don't think the lever is like special.
Alright.
We're gonna
Right?
meet
Like, I
up,
don't have like.
uh,
projected wisdom or everything, like, my plumber's my
Okay.
plumber, my guy who rebuilds my hardwood floors, who does my floors.
Okay, so that's his group.
Yeah. I know.
I'm here to help, man.
Yeah.
Because I have guys who are anyway,
and
kind of
do everything.
I got all the systems down.
Small
They do the
rich
whole job.
Properties.
And that's why I prefer, hey,
I
you try to be.
made
What's
two
your, really
mistakes.
good at trying to
What
do
do you
that.
look
I
for?
figured
Don't
out
let
how
it
to
do
avoid
that,
mistakes.
like, if you're hiring.
I'm
change
looking
up.
for little things, 1, 2 bedrooms.
That's all you need to
These
do.
guys are.
Right, like,
Pedro?
I give you like my book, these are my tools, I'm gonna use, like, it's only with the instruction of like, use them
He
how
never
I
told me
use
what the
them.
problem
Don't let
was.
them try to
I
like.
got
That's the only thing you can attest to.
Correct, exactly, like, I don't
Did
want you to
that,
say,
right.
have that blow up.
Do you
Like,
remember? I got it. So that was kind of his motivator. So
I can find a
I
house.
first,
like
Sale
that.
by
major, here's my.
I didn't want to deal with real estate agent.
Guy.
I
I think I told.
Cabinet company.
It's always-
Whatever. And then,
Bought it from the
some other guy
family.